So if you want to pay 40 bucks in the states of Washington, New York, Vermont, Arizona, or Michigan right now, all border states, you can pay $40 and you can have an RFID spy chip implanted in your driver's license. Now, why in the world would you want that, you might ask? Well, the reason they're doing it is because as of June 1st of this year, 2009, you can no longer cross back into your own country without an RFID tag. You go to Canada, you go to Mexico, you fly to Europe. When you get home, you must have an RFID tag on your person, whether it's in your passport, whether it's in a new thing called an e-pass card, which has a 30-foot read range, or whether it's in one of these new enhanced driver's licenses. So people who live in border states, who travel to Mexico or Canada regularly, are now being subjected, and you know the old strategy, they reduce the number of lines. They make the lines really long. They make the lines painful and unpleasant, and so you start complaining, and then they give you the solution, and the solution to those long, painful lines at the border is one of these RFID tag cards. And what they do is you take them out of your wallet. As you approach the border station from 30 feet away, the customs official has a computer screen, and your name and your face and all of your data appear on that screen because they've got a reader, and it reads that thing right through the windshield of your car. Now, if they can do that, they can pull up your name and your face and all your data on a screen, anybody can do it. Now, this gets even creepier because they could have chosen to use a secure version of RFID. They could have chosen to use a version that had encryption, so some degree of data protection. They could have chosen to use a special version that was specific to Homeland Security, but they didn't. The version that they chose to use, and this is where I'm absolutely convinced that there's something really wrong here. The version they chose to use is the commercial barcode version. There's hundreds of versions of RFID. They use the barcode version. Now, why is that significant? Because now you've got a commercial barcode in your driver's license. Why does that matter? I'll tell you why. Because hundreds of thousands of retail stores and museums and theaters and shopping malls and libraries and sports arenas and all the other places I talked about are going to be equipped and are in the process of being equipped with commercial RFID readers to read barcodes. Why? So you can ease out of the Walmart. So you just put your things in a bag and you waltz through the door. We've all seen the ad, right? It's got the guy and he's stuffing all the stuff in his bag, and then he kind of stuffs it, under his overcoat. And then he's going through the door, and the security guy comes over and taps him on the shoulder. You know he's going to get arrested because he's shoplifting. And the guy says, "Sir, you forgot your receipt." That's the future. That's an IBM commercial. IBM is the one who's developed those. And their plan is that every doorway you walk through will be equipped with these readers. So when you leave Walmart, they know it. When you walk into Walmart, they know it. So these tags that we are putting in our driver's licenses, or that about 100,000 uninformed Americans put into their driver's licenses, can be run by Walmart in the clear with no encryption. Anybody can get an RFID reader off the shelf. You can make one for a couple $100 off the net. You can buy one off of eBay for a couple $100. Anybody can do this. I know because I've done it. Chris Padgett did it. Anybody can do it. Walmart. Other stores doing it, Kohl's, Dillard's, I'm trying to think some of the grocery chains, American Apparel is doing this, CVS drugstores are doing this, Old Navy is doing this. All of those stores now can read your driver's license right when you walk in. They've upgraded, quote unquote, to the RFID doorways. So this is the world that we're moving into. I think it is hugely problematic, especially for border states. I think you guys need to be aware of this. You need to realize that your governor has already been approached, and as far as anybody knows, they may actually be actively working on a plan to do it because every other border state has already been approached. And some of them you find out after they've already signed the deal, after it's already gone through, no legislature required, they don't have to vote on it. The Department of Motor Vehicles just rubber stamps it, the governor signs it, and next thing you know, you're one of these states with an enhanced driver's license. So I want to caution you to be very, very thoughtful about what's coming down the pipe. Now, why is this going to matter? Because these driver's licenses are one step away from a chip in your hand. You may have already seen, I don't know if they have these in Montana, they have them in other parts of the country, where you can go up to the cash register, and instead of swiping your credit card, you can wave your credit card in front of the reader. You guys see this? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. All right, fair number of hands going up. It's a technology called PayPass. You can see it on your credit cards. And it looks like a sort of a series of, almost looks like a Wi-Fi symbol. It's got like a letter C nested inside of a letter C, like 4 of those together. If you see that on your on your credit card, it means that your credit card can be remotely read right through your wallet. Now, why does this matter? Because when you take that thing out and you hold it up to the reader, already Visa card, Discover card, MasterCard, American Express readers all over the world are being equipped with devices that are equipped to just take a little scan of an RFID. That same RFID chip in that card is the same RFID chip that they can put into your hand. It's a little slight, and it operates at a different frequency, but the technology is identical. So what we're seeing, and as a Christian who's been concerned about the mark of the beast since my grandmother first told me about it when I was 8 years old, as a Christian, I have watched in the last 10 years that I've been watching this stuff very carefully, sort of a bunch of things coalescing. In order to have the mark of the beast become a reality, you have to have all retail locations where people buy and sell equipped with technology to identify you. You also have to have people in the habit of buying and selling with numbers instead of cash or money or gold or silver or anything of value or bartering. So they've already got those 2 pieces in place. They've got us used to paying with credit cards, ATM cards. I went into the grocery store. In fact, you may want to try this in Montana. You may have different numbers. But I asked how many people, I did this about once a week. I asked the cashier, what percentage of people pay with cash? And the number is usually, about 20, 25%. So that means the vast majority of Americans are buying even their food, the very food they feed their families, with numbered accounts that can be tracked and identified and linked back to them. And it means that we're in the habit now of buying food with numbers. So it's not a big step from there to say, okay, well now the credit card companies want to take these numbers that we're paying with and make them RFID and put the reader devices at all of the stores. And then it's just 2 steps away from saying, you know what, why are we bothering with that? You could be held up, I could steal your credit card, you could drop it on the floor. Why don't we just implant it in your hand? And then when you get up to the reader, you just press your hand on the reader. Piece of cake. Do you know, the church is asleep at the wheel in this. There are mega churches throughout the country, especially in the Midwest and in Texas, where they have 5,000 to 10,000 people who show up for church on a given Sunday morning. Some of them have so many people they have to do 2 and 3 church services of 5,000 and 10,000 people to get everybody in and out. Well, those churches, first of all, I don't think God ever intended us to have churches with 10,000 people in them, where you don't even know the person sitting next to you in the pew. I don't think that was the concept behind the church. The church is a group of people who work together and know each other and support each other and pray for each other. But you got these big churches, and you know what they're doing? Rather than speaking out against the mark of the beast, rather than speaking out against these technologies, they're actually conditioning the kids. The kids get into Sunday school by pressing their finger onto a fingerprint reader. And they're all assigned a unique ID number, and that's how the teacher checks them in and out of Sunday school. Give you another example of how the church is asleep at the wheel in this one. When we protested a couple years ago, they were implanting Alzheimer's patients with RFID microchip implants. They were injecting them into their upper arms. And these are Alzheimer's patients who don't have the ability to say yes or no. They can't consent. So within medical research and human research, that's unethical. You're not supposed to do that. And we filed ethics complaints. I was extremely concerned that these people who couldn't give consent were being implanted. So we decided, when they wouldn't listen, to go down there and do a march and a prayer vigil outside the facility, sort of calling God to bring a little light to that place. And my colleague in Florida and I got out the phone book and we called up 40 different churches looking for a pastor just to lead the prayer. I'll tell you, every single one of them said no. This is a really simple issue. I'd call it ring and ring. Hi, this is Dr. Katherine Albrecht. I have a concern. They're chipping these people for, at your local facility, putting microchips in their arms. I got 2 responses. The first response I got is people would say, well, that's a great idea. Why would you be opposed to that? Don't you know those old people could wander away? Man, I'll put one in my own mother. Right? So that's my first response. And I thought, well, there's no talking to you. The second people, I think the response was even worse. They would say, don't you know that the rapture is going to come and whisk us all away? And we don't have to worry about these things as Christians. Why don't you just have another beer and scan another RFID credit card and go back to sleep? So, a little bit of good news. So I finally said, okay, Lord, I don't know. I feel like I'm supposed to go. I'm supposed to do this prayer. So I'll do it. And if need be, heck, I'll deliver the prayer myself. So I went down there, not really wanting to do it. I wanted to have a pastor do it. And as we're walking, we marched a mile. We met at a location. We marched 1 mile through the town of West Palm Beach, Florida to this location, carrying our signs.